Gene, you spoke to Manti Te'o on October 2nd, as we saw. What is your reaction to this news today?
I'm reattaching my jaw. It's like hearing Notre Dame is going to drop football. It's stunning. It's bizarre. It's one of the weirdest, saddest stories I've ever come across. People voted for Manti Te'o for the Heisman partly because of the strength of his character, and now, at least on some level, you have to question his judgment, his character, his honesty even. It's just too bizarre of a story. You wouldn't think you could make something like this up, but apparently somebody can.
In retrospect, looking back at your interview with him, was there anything from that would give you pause for any reason?
Well, I did. I sat across from him, and I was moved by his story, and it was heartbreaking, and it was heartwarming. And as it turns out, it was totally untrue. But short of asking to see a death certificate, I'm not sure what most people would do differently in that case. But in researching it before I wrote the script, I remember trying to find an obituary for his girlfriend and could not, and couldn't find any record of this car accident. But we had asked Manti, could we contact Lene's family, and he said the family would prefer not to be contacted. Could we have some photos of Lene? He said the family would prefer not to provide those. And so in that instance, and at that moment, you simply think that you have to respect those wishes, but in retrospect, you can see where some of those things simply weren't adding up to make sense. Easy to say now. At the time, it never enters your mind that somebody was involved in that kind of hoax.
And we've heard Manti's statement that he says it was a hoax. You said how surprised you are. What would your next question be in this scenario?
I guess to Manti it would be, how could you be so naive? Or if on some level he was complicit on this, and let's remember Notre Dame's statement says on December 26th the school was informed of this, I would ask, why did Notre Dame not get ahead of this story if they knew about it on December 26th? And to Manti, I would say, how could you be so naive about this? And I guess on some level we were all naive about it. We wanted to believe it so much, and it was such a wonderful story in a sense that I think we all just automatically believed it to be true.
Gene, were there any other details that he shared with you about the nature of their relationship, about any times that they were actually together?
What you heard in the piece itself was the sort of at the core of what he said. He made it very clear that they had a relationship. To what extent, I can't speak to that, but it was, according to him, a very deep, involved, emotional relationship that he felt he could share anything with her, and he did. And so when he uses the words embarrassed and I guess to an extent humiliated, certainly I can see that. I hope for his sake that he's telling the truth, and this is the actual truth, because if it isn't, he becomes a national punchline. But again, for his sake, I hope that as horrible as it is, that he was the victim in this and not a sort of a party to it.